Welcome to the Hill Update. I'm your host, Dean Allison, Member of Parliament for Niagara West. This week, we'll tackle a sensitive and deeply personal topic. It's captured the attention of many Canadians since it was legalized, and that's medical assistance in dying, or MAID for short. Parliament was forced to pass legislation to legalize assisted death in June of 2016. It was forced because of the Supreme Court decision that overturned a provision that previously made it a crime to help a person to end their life. The Supreme Court ruled that the existence of laws at the time violated the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, and that eligible adults with grievous and irremediable medical conditions are entitled to an assisted death. The legal situation since that decision has become even more complex because of another court decision. The question we now face is, should we assist death to expand to folks struggling with mental illness? This was the point of debate in Ottawa. Watch this.
Today, this House will vote on whether to protect the mentally ill against assisted suicide. But yesterday, the Justice Minister falsely claimed that euthanizing vulnerable Canadians was good public policy and the only way to comply with Canadian law. Meanwhile, we're hearing more and more reports of Canadians crying out for help and being offered assisted suicide instead. Is this the sorry state of our mental health system? Millions of Canadians oppose this government's fascination with assisted death. Will this government now bring a full stop to this madness?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. And of course, there is not one among us in this House that doesn't have people that we love that are deeply vulnerable, that have been in a state of mental health crisis. And every single person in this House wants to make sure that those people get the support and strength they need. That's why we're making critical investments there. But we also have to make sure that people who are trapped in mental illness and deep, profound suffering, that we examine what's the best way to deal with those circumstances. That's why we're working to reconstitute the Joint Committee so that we can look at this process, look at how we responsibly deal with these issues in a way that respects and protects vulnerable people.
Ed Fast is the member who asked the question. Last year, he introduced a bill that would exclude folks suffering with a mental illness from qualifying for assisted death. In other words, in his bill, mental illness cannot be the sole cause for seeking assisted death. This bill was defeated. It's important to note that according to experts, assisted death for mental illness cannot be implemented safely. Experts say that it's impossible to determine that an individual's mental illness will never respond to treatment. Polls show that roughly half of Canadians believe that MAID is an unacceptable solution to mental illness and psychological suffering. Watch this tense exchange on the subject in question period.
After 8 years of growing poverty and desperation, more and more Canadians are suffering with depression. Some of them are going to food banks asking for help ending their lives, not because they're sick, but because life has become so miserable and they want to end their lives altogether. This government has suggested veterans should end their lives instead of getting help that they need. And now they've announced that a year from today, they will introduce measures to end the lives of people who are depressed. Will they recognize that we need to treat depression and give people hope for a better life rather than ending their lives?
The Honourable Minister for Mental Health.
Mr. Speaker, I think it is totally irresponsible for the Leader of the Opposition to misrepresent what this means. All of the assessors and providers for MAID are purposely trained to eliminate people that are suicidal. And so this is for...
Order! The Honourable Minister, please proceed. You have 10 seconds left.
On this side, and with the support of the expert panel and so many Canadians, we'll continue to develop and provide the kind of mental health supports that are necessary for people who are depressed. But the people...
Clearly, there are strong opinions on this issue on both sides. Joining me after the break is Michael Cooper, who's the Member of Parliament from Alberta. Stay tuned as we discuss this topic of assisted death when we come back from break.